Good afternoon and welcome to the Older Americans Month Virtual Town Hall, Fighting Back Fraud and Scams, co-hosted today by Mickey Nozako, Director of California Health Advocates, Senior Medicare Patrol Project, and California Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara. Next slide, please. Just wanted to go over a couple housekeeping items. Audio, video, and chat will be monitored and recorded. This event is being streamed live on Facebook at Insurance CAGOV. A recording of this town hall will be available on our website at www.insurance.ca.gov. And by default, all participants will be muted and video is disabled. Video will be on for speakers only. And the agenda for today will be, we first hear from Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara, who will provide opening and welcome remarks. Then we will hear from Mickey Nozaki, Director, Senior Medicare Patrol Project, about understanding risks by scammers and fraudsters. Then we will hear from Kim Mccoy Wade, Director of the Department of Aging, and she will speak to us about the Master Plan for Aging. Fourth on the agenda is Kevin Duraway, Public Affairs Information Officer from the Contractor State License Board, who will talk to us today about senior scam stoppers. Next, we will host a Q&A session led by Commissioner Ricardo Lara and Mickey Nozaki, and then we will have a few moments of closing remarks. So now I would like to introduce Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara. Ricardo Lara is California's 8th elected insurance commissioner. As leader of the nation's largest state consumer protection agency, he is charged with protecting California consumers. During the COVID-19 pandemic and now the devastating fires throughout the state, he has been busier than ever. The commissioner has taken many actions to protect homeowners, consumers, workers, and businesses. While businesses have encountered problems in the past following wildfires or other disasters, we have seen nothing on this scale, with thousands of businesses closed and drastically reducing payroll. Commissioner Lara is here today to provide resources and answer your questions. Welcome, Commissioner Lara.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. Lisa, I appreciate your work on making this happen. And as we know, May is Older Americans Month, and the theme for this year is Communities of Strength. And after what we have been through in this pandemic, it's crucial that we recognize the power of connection and how strengthening those connections will help us protect our older Californians in the future. As I've been helping my own parents through this pandemic, it's clear to me that insurance is critical to supporting people as they age. Yet changing laws, increasing choices about your insurance, and the threat of scams combine to make decisions about insurance even more stressful. The best way to make informed and safe decisions is to become familiar with the facts and what statutes are in place to protect you and your family. You have worked a lifetime to build up your assets and want to take precautions to protect yourself and your assets as well. So for those without major assets and now living on a fixed income, insurance is also crucial to your ability to bounce back from health and any health problem or natural disasters. So purchasing insurance that meets your needs can be challenging sometimes. A product is often pushed on you. Sometimes you cannot get what you want, or you may not fully understand what is actually being covered. And quite honestly, it's hard for anybody to really understand what the product entails. And so you're not alone in trying to decipher the complexities of a specific insurance product. So as your financial situation changes over time, it is valuable to review your insurance policies to decide if the same terms and types of insurance are actually still right for you. And my department is always going to be here to help you. The California Department of Insurance can answer questions on all aspects of insurance and insurance products and help you understand what your rights are and what protections exist. I'm also working to expand access to affordable insurance, affordable health insurance for as an option, especially during the pandemic. This year, I'm sponsoring a bill in the legislature, the Parent Healthcare Act, which would help reduce health insurance costs for Californians working and for working families and increase access to healthcare. The bill will allow adults to essentially add their dependent parents to their health insurance policies, just as dependent children can currently be added to their parents' healthcare coverage. That could add up to cost savings and expand coverage options for so many more families. So I'm strongly supporting the governor's proposal to expand healthcare for all of our immigrant seniors in the California budget so that they can regularly see a doctor and get preventative care. The governor's actions to expand the Health for All Act, which I authored in the legislature, now covers children regardless of their immigration status. Now we would finally be able to cover our seniors, which is a big win for us. And I've always believed healthcare is a human right, and covering our seniors is the right thing to do. Again, our department has many resources available to our older Californians in the language that they prefer. And so we're here to be able to give you that, that support and help. And we're just a phone call away. I'll make sure my staff puts on the chat the phone number for our helpline. It's 1-800-927-4357. You're gonna hear that number a lot today, but we're also having it in the chat so that you can easily just cut and paste it. And I'll give this number, like I said, a few times. Our Consumer Services Division has more than 100 compliance officers who answer consumer calls and assist with any questions regarding insurance claims, insurance companies, or even assist in finding the right insurance product for you. Often our team serves as the first line of defense in protecting our seniors by identifying questions they need to ask before investing in an annuity or purchasing an insurance product. In a year, these experts, receive on the average around 150,000 calls from consumers who need assistance and have succeeded. We've succeeded in recovering, I should say, close to $156 million back to our consumers. So we have online resources as well, including our Senior Information Center on the department's website, which provides useful information through alerts and advisories on department issues, and also includes videos and insurance guides specific to seniors on our website, which we will also put on the chat. And so make sure you can click on that. Another online resource is the Senior Gateway, which is an interagency website designed to provide meaningful resources to seniors and their families to inform them about healthcare and other insurance options, and really to empower our seniors to protect themselves against financial fraud, abuse, and neglect. You can check out the Senior Gateway at seniors.ca.gov. And again, my department has a large law enforcement team with hundreds of investigators and law enforcement officers really dedicated to uncovering and stopping bad actors that target vulnerable consumers, including, of course, our senior population. We encourage you to report any suspected insurance scams and fraud by calling us on the number that we posted. And through our website, we can also address any other information regarding possible insurance questions or concerns. Often, con artists and scammers will put themselves in a position of trust, such as volunteering or advertising at a local church to appear more trustworthy, or they can oftentimes be family members, or they can drop names of your neighbors. Asking lots of questions is a good way to start protecting yourself. Ask for their license, then you can call our consumer services team and we will check their license for you. As a community, you can help my department get the word out to your friends and neighbors about all these types of scams that are being perpetrated upon innocent people. So again, I urge you to think and to not only think but be in communication with us, with our department as well. So, look, insurance can be complicated. We can help you and guide you through the process. We have insurance experts ready to help and answer your questions in multiple languages. So you can actually talk to a person. It's not going to be a recording. So please feel free to call us. We're really here to help you. Again, our hotline and our website are on the chat. But again, it's 1-800-927-4357. Today, I'm also joined by Miki Nozaki, who is the director of California Health Advocates Healthcare Fraud Prevention and Education Program, known as the Senior Medicare Patrol. The Senior Medicare Patrol is a national federally funded program which provides Medicare fraud prevention, education, and outreach throughout the state to older adults, their families, and caregivers, as well as our people with disabilities. Miki is a fierce advocate for Californians, and I know she's going to have a lot of helpful information to share with you today. Miki, take it away. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Commissioner Lara. And thank you for hosting this important town hall so that we can share with our constituents vital information about fighting back against frauds and scams that target all of us. Welcome and hello to all of you, our town hall attendees. As the commissioner stated, healthcare is an imperative that must be available to all of us so that our safety and well-being are assured. However, unfortunately, the criminal fraudsters and scammers threaten our very safety and well-being by perpetrating fraud schemes that not only cost us as taxpayers, these fraud schemes victimize everyone, regardless of age. So we all have to be on guard. More so and tragically, the criminals prey on the most vulnerable among us, older adults and persons with disabilities. And I'll tell you, those fraudsters and scammers, they spend all of their time thinking up countless deceitful, malicious ways to steal our personal and medical identities, tricking us into disclosing our Social Security numbers, bank account information, Medicare numbers, and other private information, all in their devious attempts to obtain their ill-gotten gains. And that's why today we fight back. We have great speakers at today's town hall who are going to share some really essential tips to arm you with protection resources, tools, and materials so that you can fight back against the robocallers and the telemarketers and the scammers. During today's town hall, we'll learn how to get an insurance policy that's appropriate for you. We'll hear how to protect our homes against dishonest building contractors. I'll share with you how your Medicare number can be stolen and it can put your Medicare benefits at risk. We'll learn how to avoid becoming the victim of a computer scam and how the criminal scammers are taking advantage of the COVID-19 pandemic and committing COVID scams by mail, email, phone, and text messaging. For example, one common scam that's happening all over the country is the COVID-19 vaccine survey scam. You may receive an email or a text message with a flyer promising you a $90 reward or $120 if you click on a link and take the vaccine survey. This is a scam. There is no legitimate COVID-19 vaccine survey at this time. The scammers are merely using the promise of a reward to get you to click on the link and disclose your personal, sometimes even your bank account information. Don't fall for it. Now, for more information, I'm going to turn the floor back to Commissioner Lara.
Thank you, Mickey. You just reminded me of even how my parents fell for this, and somebody just completely switched their whole healthcare coverage just by showing up to their house, even though I already had them set up. And so it even happens to my parents as the insurance commissioner. So again, thank you, Mickey, for always being such a fierce champion for our seniors. I now want to introduce Kim Mccoy Wade, who's the director of the California Department of Aging. The Department of Aging administers programs that serve older adults, adults with disabilities, family caregivers, and residents in long-term care facilities throughout the state, including the Master Plan for Aging, which affirms the priority of health and well-being for older Californians and the need for policies that promote health and aging. Kim is also a member of my long-term care insurance task force, which was established to explore the implementation of a statewide long-term care insurance program. Kim, talk to me. How is the work going on at the task force, and what are the good things that we're working on in the department to protect our seniors?
Oh, Commissioner, I'm so happy to be with you and both to celebrate all the progress we're making with our governor and the comeback plan to connect older adults to health insurance, and not just health insurance, but health coverage that helps people stay in their homes where they want to be with the care they want to be with the kind of long-term services benefit that your commission is looking at. I'm actually calling in today from the budget hearing on the sidelines here, where we are discussing exactly this. How we can help older adults live at home in the homes they choose, with their families, with the caregivers they choose, and afford it. And of course, being safe from abuse, neglect, and fraud and exploitation is a core part of that. And let me tell you two ways that we're working on that with all of you. So first of all, before COVID, when the governor was elected, he saw that California was aging, that there are more of us living longer, we are diversifying, we have different ways we want to live, different amounts of money in the bank. We have different things that make aging wonderful, but we're not ready. Our families aren't ready and our state's not ready. And so he had the foresight to call for a master plan for aging that we were able to release in January. And one of the things that's really important for that is that this issue of elder safety from abuse, neglect, and importantly, any kind of exploitation, internet exploitation, financial exploitation, we heard loud and clear from the thousands of stakeholders who engaged had to be part of that plan. So absolutely, the master plan came out and said, let's do more on this effort. And we have called for a cross-department, cross-agency partnership with Elder Justice Council. And I'm here to tell you, we're meeting in about 2 weeks, 15 departments to come together and say, we need to do more and better. We heard this loud and clear as a top priority. So more to come on that front, but it's not just about planning. We're also about doing. And one thing I want to be sure people are connected to is the wonderful fraud watch hotline run by our partners, AARP. When COVID hit and older Californians and all Californians were asked to stay home, we knew people needed help to stay home and stay safe and stay connected. We mailed postcards, more than 2 million postcards, to the 80 million plus Californians who are with us and living at home, to say, here's some help for you. And we were able to promote with our friends at AARP their Fraud Watch helpline, 877-908-3360. And I have to tell you, it was both good news and bad news when they came back to us and said, right after that mailing hit, we had a huge uptick in calls, particularly from Spanish speakers. And we know that's because of the mailing you did in California to get the word out. So I want to thank AARP and thank our friends at the DMV, frankly, who helped us with this mailing. And I want to ask all of you to please use this number. Please use the resources of AARP, and please spread the word. So many of us of any age, AARP starts at 50, but at any age can be taken advantage by somebody at the door, somebody on the phone, somebody sending an email, somebody on social media, on Facebook. It can happen to any of us. It does happen to all of us. It certainly happened in my family. And so there's no shame. What we have to do is come together, get that help, get it stopped, and get recovery. So I'm happy to talk more in the Q&A about specific tips for online fraud, especially as more and more of us are getting online and those persistent robocalls. But for now, I just wanted to just express my thanks to the Commissioner for focusing on this topic and just acknowledge all that's being done, both to plan for the future, but also to provide help right now. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Oh my God, Kim, those robocalls. I mean, it's like nonstop.
Oh.
So thank you. I'm starting to get those too. So, I mean, it happens to everyone. And thank you again for always being such an important champion and being a voice for all of us that are aging. I mean, people often think, we're going to be young forever. And I kind of certainly figured that out, very quickly. So thank you again, and for your work and commitment to trying to solve this long-term care issue that is something that still stumps so many insurance commissioners throughout the country. So thank you again, and appreciate your time, and keep an eye out for those budget conversations, and making sure we get the resources for our seniors that we need. So thank you again. Now I'd like to introduce Kevin Duraway from the Contractor State Licensing Board. The board protects California's consumers by licensing and regulating the state's construction industry. The agency conducts senior scam stopper seminars offered throughout the state to provide information about construction-related scams and how seniors can protect themselves even when hiring a contractor, which, by the way, doesn't just happen to our seniors. Again, another thing that I can talk to about personally. But, thank you, Kevin, for your work, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Commissioner. And like you mentioned, we conduct these senior scam stoppers statewide year round, and you'd be surprised how many people come up to us and say, hey, I'm in my 20s and I've fallen for this kind of scam. These tips and ideas that I'm about to present to you, they don't only apply to seniors, they apply to people of all ages. So I'm just going to share my screen here quickly. And so I want to talk about why seniors and why all consumers should use a licensed contractor. All of our CSLB licensed contractors have passed trade and law exams, and they undergo background checks. Very important, especially if you're going to have one of these contractors working inside your home, close to your family and loved ones. You want to make sure that they're licensed through us. CSLB licensed contractors are required to hold bonds and have workers' compensation insurance for all their employees. This is extremely important, the workers' compensation insurance, because it covers all of their workers in case they get injured while on the job. And that protects you, because if they don't have workers' compensation insurance, you as the consumer who hired the contractor may be held liable for the employee's injuries. You're offered a greater consumer protection when you hire a CSLB licensed contractor. CSLB, we can always step in and help you with negotiation, mediation, and arbitration involving contractors. It's also important to remember that California law requires the use of licensed contractors for any home improvement job that costs $500 or more. Now, with the rising cost of materials, it's very easy to hit that $500 mark. So you want to consider hiring a licensed contractor. Some of the biggest scams we see involving unlicensed contractors targeting seniors, they're going to ask for a very large down payment. This is the most common one. California law, and this is really important, not many people know this, the down payment must be no more than 10% of the total cost, or $1,000, whatever is less. So again, down payment, no more than 10% or $1,000, whatever is less. Very important. Other common scams involve door-to-door sales and pressure tactics. You might get a knock on your door. There'll be some guys out there with a truck in your driveway saying, hey, we were working in the area and we have extra materials. We're happy to repave your driveway today for low cost, limited time offer. Well, you got to act now. It's a really good deal. Well, there's a lot of problems with that. They're putting pressure on you to make a decision right now, and they want money up front. A lot of the times we see about this is the consumer will hand over some money. The guys will do a lousy job or a lackluster job, not up to your standards. They'll drive off, or they won't even attempt to work at all. They'll just take your money and run. So you really need to try to avoid those kind of door-to-door sales and pressure tactics. One thing that I like to do, don't even open the door. Speak to them through the keyhole, speak to them through your screen door, say, no, thank you, I'm not interested today. Please do leave your information on the doorstep and I'll look it over later with my spouse or my friends and family. Another example of a scam that we see involving seniors and all consumers really are scare tactics. This involves an unlicensed contractor knocking at your door and offering a free home inspection. So they come inside, and all of a sudden they start to notice problems. Look at the cracks in your wall. Look at the leaky faucet you have. You got some water damage up there. I think you have a hole in your roof. All of a sudden, they're going to discover all these problems you may or may not have, and they're going to offer to take your money and do shoddy work to try to repair those problems. Other common scams involve the money side of things, verbal agreements. So if you say, okay, you'll repair my deck or my fence for $5,000 and just shake hands, that's not good enough anymore, because it's going to be your word versus the unlicensed contractor's word. You need to get everything in writing. A lot of problems also involve the price of materials changing during the job. Now, this does happen a lot, especially with the pandemic we're going through right now. Prices of materials can change, especially with lumber and those kind of things, but you still need to get it all in writing. You need to get it all in writing in a contract. Every time there's a change involving your project, it needs to be in writing, it needs to be on the contract, it needs to be initialed by you and the contractor. Also, don't ever pay in cash. You want to pay with a check and save a copy of that check in something we call a project file. It can be as simple as a manila folder. You can include copies of your receipts, copies of your checks, photos of the work, copies of the contract. Keep it all together. That way you're all organized in case things go sideways, go wrong, and you need to send all that to CSLB. Another thing we really want to make sure consumers are doing is checking the license. You can easily search by license number, the business name, or the name of the contractor. You can also call our call center at 1-800-321-2752. We really encourage you to ask a friend or family member to help you with the website. It's really easy to pull up the license number information on our website by using the license check. This logo right here on our website. Also, when you meet these contractors, make sure you're checking their pocket license. That's a little credit card size card that looks like this. I want you to compare the name on that license with the name on a picture ID. A driver's license is usually what we recommend, and that makes sure that the contractor is who it says they are and they didn't steal anyone else's license number. We ask licensed contractors to make sure that they post their license numbers on their vehicles and their advertisements. Other unlicensed contractors will often steal the license numbers, claim that they're theirs, and work under the license. So we want you to check the pocket license and make sure you're working with who he says they are. Another way to find contractors is, get friends and family recommendations and check the license. You can also use our feature on our website, Find My Licensed Contractor. It's a tool where you can simply type in your zip code or your city of residence, pick what kind of contractor you're looking for, and you'll get a nice list of licensed contractors, depending on what you need to get done, whether it's fencing or your pool or concrete work. You can also find this information by calling us. This is what the Find My Licensed Contractor logo looks like on our website. You simply click on that, and a little pop-up window comes up where you can put in your city of residence and your zip code and choose from this drop-down menu what kind of contractor you're looking for. And if you have any other questions, you can always call CSLB 1-800-321-CSLB. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Really appreciate that information. And I hope my staff really compiles all this information so that people can have it in a way that's easily consumable, because it is a lot of information. So thank you all for, again, thank you, Kevin, for the great information. Thank you all for submitting your questions via email. We will try to answer as many questions as we can today, but if we're not able to get to your question during the town hall, please know that your question will be answered directly from the relevant organization. And so please continue to send us your questions. And I've invited 2 experts from my department to join me today to help answer some of your questions. We look forward to answering those. But first, the first question is for Mickey. Mickey, how serious is Medicare fraud and abuse? I mean, I guess it's kind of a broad question, but it seems like California always seems to be one of the states that always gets targeted. What do you say?
Absolutely, Commissioner. Medicare fraud and abuse are very serious. We call it medical identity theft. And that's why we have to protect our Medicare information, including the number on our little red, white, and blue Medicare card. It's important to safeguard that Medicare card just as you would your credit cards. Don't give out the numbers to people that you don't know. Let me give you a common example of Medicare fraud scams. Let's say you get a phone call from a stranger, but the stranger says they're calling you from Medicare. And Medicare wants you to have a free back brace. And all you need to do to get the free brace is to give the caller your Medicare number. This is a Medicare fraud scam. First, because Medicare will never call you and ask you for your Medicare number. But the fraudster who's pretending to be from Medicare will use your Medicare number to steal money from the government. And then the fraudulent back brace, which, by the way, you'll never get, will go on your Medicare record. Now, what if a while down the road, you need a back brace? Medicare may not pay for it because your Medicare record shows you already have one. See how it works? Fraud and abuse affects your health. It's serious. Now, back to you, Commissioner, for the next question.
Thank you, Mickey. You know, it's really interesting. Maureen Hobbs put a question mentioned about how my parents got switched over to another insurance carrier. And you just reminded me again, and I'm putting my parents on blast, which is fine because they always put me on blast still. So, you know, talking about should you carry your Medicare card in your wallet, as we were trying to prepare my parents for their vaccines, my dad, I was trying to have him send me a picture of his insurance card. Well, he did it great. But then I got questions from my cousins who were like, why is my uncle putting his card on his Facebook profile? So I don't know what he did with his phone, but he ended up putting his insurance card on his Facebook as a post. And my dad had no idea how he did it. So I had to go home, I had to drive to his house, take down the card. And again, one little simple slip up. And thank God for my cousins that, by the way, called me from Mexico, from Sacramento, from San Diego, and were like, is our uncle okay? Why is he putting his card on social media? But they were the ones that caught it, or else I wouldn't have caught it. You know, it's kind of little things like you got to protect your data. And maybe I shouldn't have told them to text me a picture of it, but I was trying to get them a vaccine appointment.
Sure. Well, thank goodness your dad has a lot of advocates.
Yeah, you're right. You know, the second question we got was, what are some things I should know before I buy a new insurance policy? This is a great question. You know, if you're considering buying or reviewing or replacing your insurance, then following the following insurance tips, I think I always find useful. First, check the status of your agent or company, of the company that's selling you a product, by calling our department. Again, 1-800-927-4357, or visiting our website that is posted on the chat. Never presume or never feel pressured or intimidated. I think that's the key to all of this. If you know, as Kevin was saying, and Mickey, if you're feeling pressured to do this and do this now, and you have to send us this money, chances are it's going to be a scam, right? Nobody should be pressuring you into taking immediate action. And use your kind of intuition, your kind of gut feeling. You know, if something doesn't feel right, it's probably not right, which is, you know, and so don't be intimidated by an agent. Don't feel pressured, even if that agent is a family member, because let's be real, this often happens within our own families. So it is also important to never sign blank documents or anything that you don't understand. Make sure to read your policy carefully and get everything in writing. We urge you to review our tips on our website in our Senior Insurance Bill of Rights at insurance.ca.gov. And, you know, I always remind my parents too, if I ask you to sign something that you're not comfortable with, don't sign it. You know, it's like, even your own children, at this point, I want you to be your own advocate. And if it doesn't feel right, it's most likely not going to be right. So the next question is for Kevin. Kevin, how do unlicensed contractors target our seniors? I know you kind of talked about it a little bit, but what do you think, what can you do if you think you've been scammed by an unlicensed contractor? You know, there's there's often that kind of shame that kind of follows, like, man, I should have known better, or I don't want to tell my friends. But at this time, it's more important to deal less than how you're personally feeling, but trying to get your money back or trying to protect yourself for further damage. What do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, it's extremely important to contact CSLB and file a complaint. And seniors are targeted. Seniors are targeted as a group usually because seniors are very trusting. And they're either pressured or they're trusting. And what unlicensed contractors will try to do is they'll try to manipulate seniors because they're trusting by establishing a connection with them. Oh, you have a grandson who goes to the local high school. My neighbor's kid goes to the local high school. Establishing connections with seniors, and that's when they can move in and take advantage. That's one big way that unlicensed contractors will target seniors. So what can seniors do if they've been scammed, Commissioner? You can always call CSLB for a complaint form to get one. You can also go to CSLB's website and click the button that you see there on the screen. It's the file a complaint button. It's really important to know seniors have 4 years from the date of construction to file a complaint with us. And this also is very important to remember. It's new in 2021. Seniors now have a 5-day right to cancel any contract. This protects seniors from those high pressure scare tactics that we were just discussing. If they're pressured and they sign a contract without really carefully reading it or having a family member look at it, you have 5 days now to cancel it in California. That's new protection for seniors. It's very important to make sure that they're aware of that.
That's great information, Kevin. And I got to tell you, I have used your website myself, so I appreciate all of the good tips that you've got. Okay, our next question is for Commissioner and Lewis. What are some red flags I should look out for when working with an insurance agent?
Okay, thank you. I'm going to have Louis Delorier, our division chief of my Department of Investigations division, to provide some details on this question. Louis, take it away.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Today, I'm going to spend a few minutes speaking about the warning signs you should be on the lookout for when dealing with an insurance agent. You should be careful about working with agents who offer free seminars in sites like assisted living centers, retirement communities, or places of worship. You should also be wary of agents who offer free meals that are catered or take place in a nice restaurant. In some instances, they might ask you to provide your contact information in order to get a free meal. There are other agents who offer to create or update a living trust in order to get access to your financial information. Or an agent may give you wrong information about your current investments. For example, the agent may say that an annuity has less risk than your investments or savings accounts. Another thing you should be on the lookout for is an agent who tries to sell an annuity to a veteran to reduce their assets so that they may qualify for Department of Veterans Affairs benefits. And then you have agents who are offering insurance that is completely free. They tell you that the policy won't cost anything and that an unknown third party will pay all of the premiums for you. And that's definitely a red flag. It's also important to know that it's illegal for an insurance agent, a broker, or a solicitor, or an insurance company to misrepresent the terms or benefit of an insurance policy. And finally, by law, older Californians are owed a duty of honesty, good faith, and fair dealing by an insurance agent and others engaged in the transaction of insurance. I'll turn it back over to you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Those are all great tips. The next question is for Kim, which I wish my dad was on the call because he would have known, how can older adults learn to use technology safely? I didn't put my dad on Facebook timeout because he really enjoys his Facebook and I want him to have the technology. But how do we teach our seniors how to use technology safely? And all of us too, right? I mean, we're so willing to give all our personal information on these websites.
You're absolutely right. I'm really glad that we're starting with the internet is a really great and important place to be. right? And in fact, one of the things our governor is doing is trying to close the digital divide for people who are 8 years old and 80, for all ages, to help people connect with broadband and devices. We know that those devices are how you talk to your family and friends, talk to your doctor, and now during COVID, maybe order your groceries or attend church. So it's really important. So we're working to get older adults devices, and not everybody needs a laptop. Some people are tablets, plenty, smartphones, we even have some smart speakers going out to some of our oldest adults. So we absolutely, and we're providing devices with broadband package and some IT support. So that's all great. And we can share some of the resources from our Digital Divide initiative. But you are absolutely right. Just like all the other topics we've talked about, there are 3 tips that I would say to everybody. First, you want to be sure you have some of that virus blocking, that virus. When you get those notices saying update, you need to update and keep your guard up. That's your lock on your front door. You want to have the blockers in place. The other piece is the passwords. I know it's a pain, and we all often use, the same password, or we use a repeating password, right? We can't. You have to take advantage and have more of those harder, the stronger passwords they suggest, especially if you're putting money or personal information on it. You really want to have the password. So the second tip is that password. And the third one, it's just like someone knocking at your door. Don't engage. If you get an email from a person who you don't know, or someone saying I'm in crisis, don't answer that door. Don't answer that email, and don't even feel compelled to write the polite answer and acknowledgement, because that's how it starts. So I know it doesn't feel natural to all of us to have that door locked and to change the password and to not respond to emails from strangers, but those really are kind of the top safety tips that we share. And again, AARP has more on that, but please do come online. But like anything else, right? Driving a car, walking on the street, you take basic safety precautions even while you get out there.
You're absolutely right, Kim. In fact, I was at a presentation given by the FBI very recently, and they said that the more you pick up the telephone and the more you engage with these scammers, the more you're gonna get their calls. So I think all of your tips were very well taken. Be so careful. There's so many bad guys out there. So Kevin, I know that you gave us some tips on how to be proactive. Can you remind us what those are and maybe add a few?
Yeah, so there are some things that seniors and all consumers really should be aware of to be proactive to protect themselves from scams. Sorry, my computer froze there a moment. One thing to protect yourself when you're working with any kind of contractor, make sure you get at least 3 bids. Now, this gives you an idea of your price range for your project in the market, and it's a way to make sure that you know for sure you're doing your homework before working with any kind of contractor. Also, when you're working with contractors, make sure you're asking for references and check those references. It's as easy as calling up a former customer or consumer. Even better, take a drive over to their house and take a look at the work with your own eyes if that's possible. In this day and age with the internet, it's really easy just to do a Google image search of beautiful concrete work and steal those photos and put those photos on your own website or your own Facebook business ad and claim it's your own work. So ask for the references and check those references. Another way to protect yourself, only hire licensed contractors. Use that Find My Licensed Contractor tool that's on our website. Again, I showed it to you earlier. You just type in your zip code, you type in where you're from, what kind of contractor you're looking for. You'll get a huge list of names. They're in random order. You can either download the names to your computer, you can print them out, whatever is easier for you to do. It's just an easy way to get you a list of contacts going right away. And then, hey, you get your 3 bids, find one you like working with, and keep it for future reference. If you're going to just get recommendations from your family members, make sure you check the license before you start working with them. Use the instant license check feature on our website. You can just literally type in their name or their license number, and you'll get all their information to make sure that their license is active. That page will also show if they have workers' compensation insurance or not. It'll also show if there's any disclosable complaints from other consumers that might have been filed against them. All important information to know before you start working with them. You can also get that number by calling, of course, 1-800-321-CSLB. Thank you so much.
Good tips, Kevin. Good tips. Now I can add a few tips about
go ahead,
Medicare
please.
fraud and scams also. So I'll give you 3 things that that you guys can do to protect yourselves from Medicare fraud. Number 1, let's say you see an ad on television for a medical device, or you get a call from a stranger offering you free medical equipment. Just hang up. Always get your medical services and prescriptions for medical equipment from your trusted doctor. And again, know that Medicare will never call you and ask you for your Medicare number. Number 2, every Medicare beneficiary will receive medical statements showing what is recorded on your Medicare record, all the services and the supplies. Look at these statements carefully. Just as you review your financial statements, review your medical statements to make sure everything on there is accurate. And then 3, report Medicare fraud. If you see something suspicious on your medical statement, or you got one of those scam vaccine surveys, or let's say that you got a scam call and, oh my gosh, inadvertently, you disclose some personal information, report it to us. Senior Medicare Patrol will give you all of our telephone numbers at the end, so get a pencil and paper ready. But if you report, the odds are that we will get those criminals off the streets. Commissioner, next.
Thank you. So, one of the other questions was, what scams should our seniors be on the lookout during this COVID-19 pandemic? And of course, we know that scammers will take advantage of a pandemic, of a crisis, to continue to, defraud our seniors. So, right now our communities are experiencing tremendous losses, and it's imperative for you to be aware of all types of scams you and your loved ones could be susceptible to. And yes, just in hearing all this, it can be overwhelming. It's overwhelming for everybody. But again, rely on your gut feeling. Rely on that, on that that feeling of like, if this is uneasy, if you're being pressured, this is not right. And so I'm going to have Kathleen Rooney, our assistant chief of my department's fraud division, to provide you more details of what's been going on during the pandemic. Kathleen, let us know. Talk to us.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. Yes, this affects all of us, and some of the scams that we're seeing that have been brought to our attention, they really, like everybody's been talking about, revolve around financial and identity theft. So some of those scams that are coming to our attention is false insurance cancellation, where scammers are calling saying a loved one is sick and in the hospital and they need coverage urgently, and offers to let you pay for that coverage over the telephone. We've seen bogus COVID-19 insurance that scammers are promising at a low price, but it's really just a ploy to steal your money and your identity. Also, I think all of us have seen the false DNA testing scams that claim these tests are needed. You need to have these DNA tests, and they're paid for by your insurance, so don't worry about it. Again, going back to trying to get your medical information. COVID-19 vaccines and test kits that scammers are offering to you, telling you that you're uninsured, but you can pay for it through them. Also, as we were discussing, the Medicare scams where robocalls ask for your Medicare number to make bogus claims. So please protect your Medicare and your Social Security numbers. The government won't ever call you to verify that type of information. So hold that near and dear. And then finally, also in the contact tracing, there's some scams there too, where they're asking for your Social Security number, your bank account, or credit card numbers. And that's not part of contact tracing. They're not going to ask you for that information. So that's something to look out for as well.
Thank you, Kathleen. The next question is for Kim. Kim, how do we stop scammers from harassing our parents? We get calls daily from Jamaica, and it's not to go on a trip, unfortunately. Now they have, now they have sent a check. You block the numbers, but they keep changing them. So it's like, well, what do we do? It is kind of exhausting.
You're absolutely right, and you're not imagining it. Robocalls were out of control before the pandemic. They actually kind of went down a little bit during the pandemic, but now as we're opening back up, guess what? They're back at full force. And so I do want to say that this is first and foremost a government and an industry problem to solve, and there are steps being taken. There's legislation in Washington. The Federal Trade Commission, Communications Commission is working to try to stem the flood. But while important work is happening in Washington, there are 3 things you can do. So first of all, more and more there's call blocker technology. Believe it or not, there are things you can download on your phone or your cell phone. And again, the phone stores can help you, or family can help you to get those on there to try to do a better job of screening out. Those robocallers are getting smarter and smarter with their dummy numbers. So it looks like it's a number or it looks like your area code. So try to get a tech blocker if you can on your phone that you feel comfortable with. The second is, I don't answer a number that I don't know who it is. I let it go to voicemail. And then when you hear it, if it says, oh, I'm the bank or I'm the government, call us at this number, don't call them at that number. If you think that you need to call, for example, the IRS, you look up the IRS number and you call them. If you think you need to talk to your bank, you look up the bank, because the reason you do that is because that's the real number. The number that they leave on your voicemail may not be the right number. So second, I use voicemail all the time, and anybody who is your friend and family will not mind if you miss the call and then call them back in 2 minutes and say, I missed the call, I was screening the call. That's okay. It's okay to do that. So miss the call just to make sure and have the moment to think about what you want to do. And then the third thing is, if you get on the phone with a live person you don't know, don't talk to them. And I know this goes against every piece of advice my mother told me, and your mother probably told you. You can hang up on them. You can absolutely hang up on them. If someone is that's just like the contractor on your door, they want to get into conversation with you and make that connection. But if you realize this isn't somebody I know, I'm going to hang up on them. And again, you know what? If you make a mistake and it's your cousin and you forgot, they'll forgive you. It's okay. It's okay. So really, you can take those steps to just give yourself some time to think and maybe be better safe than sorry, and check in with somebody you trust, and then you can reconnect at the right time when the time is right. But really, just don't feel like, back in the day, the phone rang, you answered it, and we would just talk. It's really a different world, and it's good to update your tools. So here are just these are very complicated links I look at, but really it's all at AARP. AARP has made this one of their top priorities. Fraud watch, whether it's email extortion, tech support scams, telephone scams. So there's more on their webpage. And then of course that hotline number we gave at the top. What's nice about them is they're both helping you, and again, in English and Spanish, but they're also tracking for those trends. So they can also follow up with legislation or budget investments to really stop it at the source. Thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Good information, Kim. Thanks for that. And I saw a tip the other day I thought was really handy. For those people who insist on picking up the telephone, there could be a little script that you write and you put by their telephone. And all it says is, I do not disclose information to unsolicited calls. Because you know that the scammers and the telemarketers are so clever, and they will try any means to get information from you. So instead of being pressured into thinking about what to say, just read off this little script and then hang up.
Absolutely.
Okay. Our last question, I think this is for Lewis. I've been considering buying an annuity. How do I know if it's right for me?
Yes, first it's important to understand what an annuity is and how it works. An annuity is a contract between you and an insurance company. You purchase an annuity by making premium payments to the insurance company. In return, the insurance company makes income payments to you, either for life or for a limited period of time. There are different types of annuities. They are complex and typically carry high surrender fees if you choose to sell or withdraw your money and you may not be able to access your money for long periods of time. It's important to know that the law requires the insurance agent to ask you questions about your financial situation to make sure the annuity you're purchasing is suitable for your needs and circumstances. Insurance companies can only sell you an annuity if there's a reasonable basis to believe the annuity is suitable based on the information you provide to the agent. An agent cannot recommend a person 65 or older to purchase an unnecessary annuity that's not a good fit for you. Unfortunately, we've seen many situations in which a person has been convinced to buy an annuity they did not need, and then they lose their entire life savings and surrender fees, penalties, and lost premiums. So, in closing, just a few quick reminders. Never sign blank documents. Don't feel pressured by the agent to do anything you're not ready to do. Consult a friend or a family member to help you make a decision. Read the application in full before signing it. And lastly, like you've already heard, you can access our website to check and confirm that an agent is licensed and that their license is in good standing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Louis. It's great information again. And I know there's been some questions about, can we send an email to the participants with the websites? Because it might be hard for them to cut and paste them, and also a list of scams that have been kind of popping up. So I'll leave that to our staff to make sure we send you all an email from the department with all the different links to help you. I know it surely helps me in not having to cut and paste things. So again, I know we've run out of time, but I want to thank you all for joining us today. Now I want to just give our speakers just a minute to close. Mickey, thank you so much. What are some last words that you can leave us with?
Thanks, Commissioner Lara. And I want to thank all of our town hall attendees. As a reminder, protect your Medicare number and all of your personal private information. Don't ever give it out to people you don't know and don't trust. Review your medical statements for accuracy. Make sure everything on your Medicare record is correct. And finally, report fraud and abuse. The best way to stop the scammers and the fraudsters is to report their suspicious behavior so they can be investigated and we can stop them from victimizing us. The Senior Medicare Patrol Hotline is on the screen here, 855-613-7080. Remember, we're here to serve you. Thank you.
Thank you. Kim, any parting words?
Yes, I would just challenge everybody to take one step, to do one thing. It's kind of a constant, you have to always keep up, but for me, I'm gonna take from this, I'm gonna download a new call blocker and see if I can reduce the calls on my cell phone. Maybe for you, it's changing a password, maybe it's running that virus software, but I would challenge everyone to take action, do one thing to strengthen your safety. Thanks.
Thank you. Kevin.
I too would challenge all of you to, if you remember one thing, 10% or $1,000, whatever is less, that should be your down payment limit. Don't give contractors or unlicensed contractors too much money up front. Money is your leverage. If you give them too much money, they can leave with your money and leave with unfinished work for you, and you'll have to pay to get it all done again. Use a licensed contractor. Go to cslb.ca.gov, check the license, and you can easily put in your zip code also and find licensed contractors in your area. Thank you so much for this opportunity today.
Thank you. Thank you, Mickey, Kim, and Kevin, for sharing this important information and all the critical work you do to protect our older Californian families. Again, to our staff, thank you for putting this together. Again, feel free to reach out to the department. You have all the links. We are here to help. And again, thank you and enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.